I'll call to order the Board of Franklin County Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, December 6th.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Present.
Commissioner Howard,
Present.
Commissioner Dunn,
Present.
Commissioner Renaud, Chair Waymeyer.
Present. If you would, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Gracious God, ruler of all, we ask you to bless those who have been set in positions of authority among us, that, guided by your Spirit, they may be high in purpose, wise in counsel, firm in good resolution, and unwavering in duty, that under them we may be governed quietly and peaceably through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Do we have any correspondence or organizational business today? Is there any public comment?
Nope.
Brings us to our consent agenda today. That includes tax change orders, net amount of positive $624.95. Claim vouchers in the amount of $303,990.60, and minutes for the meeting on the 29th. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda that's before us?
Make the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer.
Yes. Our first item of business today is to consider a rezoning application. Larry Walrod, our Planning and Building Director, is here to introduce the item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
The first item that we have here is the consideration of a rezoning to rezone approximately 4.5 acres from an A1 to the R3A, which is a single-family residential 3-acre minimum zoning district. The purpose for this rezoning is to allow for the division and sale of an existing residence with some outbuildings on this much larger tract of agricultural land. The remainder of that 160 acres is basically going to be retained in agriculture, but the purpose would be the new owners don't want to have to mess with this house, so they're wanting to sell that, and consequently, this matter was considered by the Planning Commission at their last meeting, and the Planning Commission has forwarded a recommendation to you for the adoption of a resolution approving this rezoning request to rezone approximately 4.5 acres from the A1 agricultural zoning district to the R3A, and directing staff then to amend our official county zoning map accordingly. I have nothing further to add unless you have questions.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the rezoning application before us?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the rezoning application 1709-1526.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer.
Yes. Thank you, Larry. Our second item of business is a special use permit application.
We have several items that are related somewhat to this issue. These are for communication facilities for Midwest Connections. I think most of you know that they do provide internet service throughout parts of this county. And consequently, they are in a position now where Their contract has expired on the towers, county towers, and in part because of the requirements of our new radio system that will be going on those towers. And as a result, they have and are seeking now approval of special use permits to relocate their facilities on new towers that will be under their purview. The first of those is the replacement of the facilities that are located down on the Tennessee area. This is, again, a 190-foot high communication tower. It will be a guide tower. They are, we've indicated in the past, kind of a low power because they're basically operating on direct line of sight. So they are a low power tower that doesn't have the same impacts that the cellular towers and some of the other communication towers have. Again, this will be served by a private driveway that's under a lease agreement. This facility is located very, very close to the facilities that the county has that we have been operating on and have operated on, and they have been connected to. So I think that as the Planning Commission gave consideration to this, they have recommended that you approve the special use permit based on the findings and subject to the conditions that were set forth in the draft resolution that's a part of your packet. We did give notice to 10 surrounding property owners. We really didn't have anyone that testified before the Planning Commission for or against the location of this tower facility.
There's 4 of these. First of which, anybody have any questions for Larry on this one? The special use permit application 1710-1535.
I don't have any question. I'm just wondering, is it possible to do this with one motion listing the 4 special uses? Do we need to do them separate, you think?
Yeah, we need to do them separate because at the planning commission meeting, there were individuals who objected to
Some of them?
the tower.
Okay.
And I would add, Midwest Connections has been a good partner with us for several years on this. And but for our new radio communication system, we wouldn't be asking them to leave our towers. And so, but just the new equipment that we're putting on, it's more substantial. And so we need to have our towers back. But at this point, they've done everything we've asked them to, and they're working well with Larry and David Petrovsky on the building permit process. And so, they've done everything we've asked.
If there's no other questions, I'll make the motion that we approve the special use permit application 1710-1535 for the 190-foot tower.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby.
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Chair Waymire.
Yes. All right. If you want to move on to the next one, Larry, go right ahead.
Well, this is very, very similar to the one that you just considered. Again, the Planning Commission did consider this matter at their last meeting and have submitted a recommendation to you for the approval of the special use permit to provide for the construction of a 190-foot high communication tower. These are guide towers, a lattice work type tower. They're all the same height and the same construction. This will be accessed off of Colorado Road. It's located down in the Williamsburg area, and it will be providing internet service for that general location. The Planning Commission did forward a recommendation to you for the approval based on the findings and subject to the 8 conditions that were attached as a part of the staff report in the draft resolution. We did give notice to 6 surrounding property owners, and no one appeared either for or against this particular tower.
What's the setback on those towers?
The setback for the tower is the height of the tower from any property line or any structure. And that's a condition that's imposed as a part of the approval process that's identified in your draft resolution.
Anyone like to make a motion? I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Chair Waymire.
Yes. All right. Our fourth item of business is the third special use permit for Midwest Connections.
Again, it's very, very similar to the 2 applications you heard just preceding this. This matter is a request to allow for the construction and operation of a 190-foot high communication tower that will be providing internet service to the general vicinity. We gave notice to the surrounding property owners. Again, we did not receive any comments for or against this particular tower site. And the Planning Commission has made a recommendation then to the county commissioners to adopt a resolution approving the construction and operation of this communication tower based on the findings and subject to the 8 conditions that are attached as a part of the staff presentation. Again, I have nothing to add unless any of you have questions regarding this.
All right. Would anyone like to make a motion for this special use permit? Number 1710-1538.
Make a motion that we approve application permit 1710-1538 for a 190-foot communication tower.
Second.
Second.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Yes.
Chair Waymire.
Yes. All right, Larry. The fifth item of business is the final special use permit application today.
Yes, again, this is a request for the construction and operation of a 190-foot communication tower. This one was proposed to be located up north of Thomas on the west side of Texas Road. We did have a few people that were within the notification boundaries required by the Kansas statutes that did appear and were opposed for various reasons, but most of them associated with the fact that they felt that this would be something that generated a lot more power, such as the cell towers, than what the operational requirements for the internet service, which is a very low power. I think the property owner has met with those people subsequent to the Planning Commission hearing, but we did have 3 people plus the property owner to speak on this matter when it was presented to the Planning Commission. Again, the 3 of those people appeared were generally in opposition, I think primarily because of the fact that they were under the notion that this was going to be a much more high-powered facility than what the internet service requires. I believe that there has been some modification to the specific location of this that will make it a little more compatible with the community out there. I have not heard anything further, though, from the three people that were opposed to this particular facility. Again, the Planning Commission, after consideration at the public hearing, did forward a recommendation to the county commissioners for the approval of this special use permit based on the findings and the 8 conditions that are set forth in the staff report. We did give notice to 14 surrounding property owners, and like I said, we did have comments from the property owner himself, as well as 3 of the parties that were within that notification boundary surrounding this particular site. It's very, very similar in terms of its overall operations and so on with the others. I have nothing further to add unless any of you have specific questions.
My only thing was after the 3 opposed it, and this was explained to those 3, correct? That it wasn't the power they thought it would be?
Yes, and I think Mr. Rogers, the property owner, has subsequently met with those. The applicant is here and might be able to add a little bit more information to that if you have specific questions on
I
that
was
matter.
at the planning commission meeting. It'd probably be worth our time to listen to the applicant and just kind of summarize whatever considerations he made. And
Right.
Thanks, guys. My name is John. I'm the general manager of Midwest Connections. And the 3 residents who were in opposition to the tower, we went and spoke with them. The landowner went and spoke with them. They were under the impression that we were building a cellular tower, which generates high-frequency microwaves, which our towers don't do. Once they understood that, there was only 1 resident who was concerned about the placement of the tower. So within the guidelines set forth and the fallback zones and everything else that are required by law for us to abide by, we were able to relocate the tower on the owner's property to satisfy the person who was concerned about the view out of her back door. So unless they've objected otherwise, I feel like we've resolved the conflict.
When does construction on these towers start?
As soon as I'm able to get out there.
What's it usually take to put one up about?
Well, we are going to try to build all 4 of these within 10 days. We have to have our radio equipment off the towers by the 16th, which we will regardless. But we're going to attempt to complete these projects within 10 days.
Either Larry or yourself, give me an exact location where we're at now.
At the Tower 4 site that we're discussing
Yeah,
now.
right.
We are approximately 300 feet north and 200 feet west of where it was originally supposed to be sited.
We're talking Thomas and Texas, right?
Thomas in Texas, yes. If you're familiar with the Mowers property, we are basically directly 200 feet away from the Mowers property line on the west tree line of their 5-acre tract there.
So we're north of Thomas Road then,
Yes,
and on the west side of Texas?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. We're at.
thanks
Thank you.
for your time and being willing to work with the public.
We have the building permit information. We have not issued those permits pending the approval of the special use permit. So we can issue those today if all these are approved. You've already approved 3, so we will be issuing those permits. And if you approve this one, we will issue that building permit today, and then they can go ahead with their construction. But Motorola will not hang anything on those the county towers until the facilities that are owned by Midwest are removed. So there is kind of a critical time frame here.
Is there a motion to approve the special use permit 1710-1539?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Chair Waymire.
Yes. Right. Next item of business is to consider approving a final replat.
I think that most of you are familiar with the Greenwood Estates, commonly known as Beauville, that was approved several years ago. we have a request where they wanted to do a boundary line adjustment, but in looking at this matter pursuant to the subdivision regulations of the county, it did require a replat to add some addition to lot number 11, which was being purchased. They want to add roughly 6 acres to that site from land that adjoins it on the backside of that lot. This matter was sent to the Property Owners Association for the Greenwood Estates, so that they had the opportunity to review what was being proposed here. They have submitted to the county notice that they are not opposed to this situation wherein the property is being added that will expand the size of that particular lot. This is kind of a unique subdivision in that it was never considered and approved by the Franklin County Planning Commission, but was considered and approved by the City of Ottawa Planning Commission, because it was determined at that time that the 3 Mile extraterritorial area gave the city authority to approve subdivisions within that particular boundary. Their lots in this case range from 2 acres to roughly 7 acres. So the addition of this to a 2-acre tract, which is what lot number 11 currently is, would be consistent with the lot sizes which vary throughout that particular subdivision. Again, the existing lot 11 has a home and a detached garage constructed, and what they're proposing to do would be to add another accessory structure. They have submitted building permits for that, but nothing's been approved until this matter has been resolved, because otherwise this would be a landlocked tract if they just purchased it, so it has to be attached with one of the adjoining lots within the subdivision. The Planning Commission has considered this and approved it. So this matter is before you to accept any dedications of easements or rights-of-ways that are shown on the face of the plat. I have nothing further to add unless any of you have questions.
Questions for Larry? Anyone like to make a motion to approve the replat of Lot 11 in Block 2 of the Greenwood Estates subdivision?
I'll make the motion, we approve the replat of Lot 11, Block 2, Greenwood Estates.
Second.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Chair Waymire.
Yes. Thank you. Don't roll it up, right?
Nope, I've covered.
Okay. What is today, 5? 6.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm missing Jason.
Oh, okay. So we'll wait a minute. Okay. Well, Larry's requesting we go ahead and skip forward to item number 8. Should be with you, Derek.
Okay, yeah, in front of you is a resolution directing Stevens and Brand to institute a tax sale in the District Court of Franklin County. This is a necessary step to conducting a tax sale. However, it's really a formality. I would ask that you approve this resolution. Everything else is ready to go. Once this gets approved, I would anticipate this lawsuit actually being filed next week. I will tell you that in the last couple of months, we have had a fairly substantial amount of success in getting payments into the treasurer's office. And so just the demand letters that were sent out were certainly very successful. However, not everyone was able to, pay off the debt, and so we will proceed with the sale. If there's anything else you would like, just let me know.
What's roughly the number of those? Do you have any idea?
I don't. I would say roughly you're looking at 10 to 15.
Well, this is a step in the process of the tax sale, so.
Once we approve this, Derek, how long, do they still have an opportunity to settle this before the sale? I know that.
Literally, after you approve it, they do, but once the petition gets filed, they don't. And now, common sense and reason rule the day. That's not to say we couldn't make an arrangement with any given property owner, but technically, their right to do that lapses.
They've had a long time to take care of it.
They have.
These are taxes that haven't been paid for a minimum of 3, but in reality 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, that's right. And some of these parcels too, and we've talked about this, are these little slivers of land that we're just trying to clean up, and so.
Of unknown ownership anyways, so there's nobody to pay the tax.
Yeah, and the taxes owed on them are such a nominal amount, it's really just to clean up our map. These are parcels that were created by surveying errors and other anomalies, often going back like a century. And so.
All right.
If there's no more questions, I'll make the motion that we approve a resolution directing Stevens and Brand to institute a judicial tax foreclosure action.
All right, is there a second?
Second?
Commissioner Oglesby,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer.
Yes. I'd have to wing it, Larry.
I think most of you know that we have had some vacancies come up on the Planning Commission. We now have 3 candidates that have submitted letters that they would be willing to serve on that Planning Commission. And staff has submitted a memo to you, I think, that outlines who is going off and why, and the fact that we did replace one of the members that was going off because he could serve another term. That was Don Stottlemyre. He had served 1 term. He's eligible to serve a second term, but subsequent to that, we did have the former chairman indicate that he was going off. Rick Welton had taken that position, new employment, and was no longer going to be able to serve on the Planning Commission. So that left us with 3 vacancies. We do have those members here, except for Jason. He had a conflict this morning. He hoped to be here by 9 or 9:15. Unfortunately, it doesn't look as if we're going to be able to have him here this morning, but I think that in the past that you have always wanted to meet the commissioners before you made appointments. They are, 2 of them are here this morning, Nancy Mast and Michael Wilkins are here. And so if you have any questions or would like to have matters discussed with those, they are present here for you to to meet this morning.
All right. Well, we have their application and information from there, but yeah, if you wouldn't mind coming up, I guess Nancy first, and just, if you don't mind making a quick introduction.
I am Nancy Mast. I've lived in Ottawa for approximately 25 years. And what else would you like to know?
Oh? What makes you interested in the Planning Commission?
Well, Greg, my husband, I have come a few times with him and got kind of interested in what was going on. I really didn't know, but I was interested, and I've been at quite a few of the meetings recently. And yes, I really was interested in what we were here when they were putting up the asphalt, and I thought that was very interesting because I was interested in why they couldn't place it here and why they went another direction. Yes.
Sure. Did you, I guess, understand and think that the process was, what did you think of the process, I guess, as far as?
I think I was more interested in why we will locate things in certain positions and why this is not a good location, but this one is, and why we move things around and.
Consider both parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, well, any other questions?
I have no questions. I just want to make a comment that I've known Nancy for many, many years, and I think she'll do an excellent job, and want to personally thank you for stepping up. And
Thanks,
I know this
Greg.
is something that a lot of people show interest in, but don't want to commit the time to do it, and we appreciate anybody that will do that, and I know you'll do a good job, so that's all I have to say.
Certainly do, and thank you for your time ahead of time.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Michael?
Morning.
Morning.
I'm Mike Wilkins. I applied for that position and to be on this board. Long-time Ottawa resident, Franklin County resident, back and forth. Lived on a little farm with my grandfather out by Les Loup. And you see in there, I went to a one-room schoolhouse that was across the street, so it was a long way. Same one my mother went to. And, you know, that way of life is gone, of course. But, you know, very interested in how this operates. I have been for a long time, and what we do in the county, you know, and how I'm a farmer, so I'm a little partial to how that works and what you have to do. And I became interested when Russell Sylvester wanted to put a sign up, and I was like, why is that a big deal? Well, so here I am to learn. You know, I want to see what this is about and learn more and see what I can do.
Sounds like you have a special interest in maintaining a rural way of life in the county. You're located in the countryside in the
Yes.
northwest kind of corner of the county?
On Kingman Road.
All right. That's good. We have a little bit of representation out there, but like to see that our people are spread out so everybody feels represented, so good deal. Any questions for Mike? Also, thank you for
right.
volunteering and
Thank you
time
very
well
much.
spent. Mr. Camus just showed up. We're just doing quick introductions. We like to meet everybody before we appoint them, and a little light interrogation.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Jason Camus. I live at 2034 Old Highway 50. I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what you want to know, but
Just ask everybody kind of how you're familiar with the Planning Commission, what maybe gave you initial interest, and
Yeah,
some insights you might have.
well, I've lived here. I've lived back in Franklin County for, I suppose, the last 6 years, 6 or 7 years. I was here for a stint and then moved away for about 3 years. You know, I don't really have, other than I thought it would be a good opportunity to give back. I'm not really that involved in Franklin County or in the area, other than a daughter in school right now in the Ottawa district, and I actually live in the West Franklin district, but her mom lives in town. And my role, my professional role, I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce in Gardner and Edgerton. So I'm obviously familiar with what a planning commission does and how they operate, and just thought this would be an opportunity to give back and be involved here in Franklin County where I live.
Great. And you live, it looks like probably in one of the rural states down there?
Yeah, actually, I mean, most people I think when you move here, everybody knows people's houses, so it was the house that, it was Chuck Lee and Tanya Salvini's house. So it was built by the West Franklin trades class, I believe, back in the early, mid-90s there.
Good.
So.
Looks like we'll have a nice blend of farm, urban, and then rural estate, so. You be in the southwest corner of the county, which is good. I don't think we have anybody down there currently. And Mr. Thurston leaves the board, so. Any questions for Jason?
I think Jason brings some good experience from his background, and I know he also is a former graduate of Leadership Franklin County as well, and I think that's another good aspect that I think will be important.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Good conversation with everybody there, and all three definitely have a strong vested interest in our community. Unless there's any other comments or questions, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the 3 new members to the Planning Commission?
I'll make the motion that we approve the 3 that have been presented this morning for the Planning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Yes.
Chair Waymire.
Yes. Anything else, Larry?
Well, while they're here this morning, I would like to present each one of them with a copy of our comprehensive plan, zoning regulations, subdivision regulations, sanitation code, bylaws, also their packet for the upcoming meeting, which is on the 21st of December. So they're going to get broken in here real quickly, but I have packets here for each of those members this morning.
Some light reading.
Say, no limit on homework.
That book you bring to all the ball games, Nancy, to read. You got some different reading material for you now.
That's right. Well, thanks again to all 3 of you. Now we bring us to staff reports.
I don't have a lot to report today. We've talked about the tax sale. Land acquisition at Proximity Park is continuing to move along nicely. And then obviously we have our retreat on Monday. And that's all I have this morning.
All right. Commissioners well, let's see. The sheriff do you have anything?
I'm sure most of you have heard and seen in the paper and heard on the radio, but we've had a lot of deer strikes, and those are still going on. So I would just encourage everyone to hit the brakes, but don't swerve, because people get hurt when you try to swerve to miss a deer and then you roll your vehicle. So just, if you're gonna hit it, you can replace your car. Also, from our side, we've lost a couple vehicles this last week. Neither one of the deputies were injured, but we did have a couple vehicles that got crashed. Those were not deer strike related, those were pursuit related. And we're working with K-Camp on getting those vehicles taken care of and everything. So you guys had probably heard about that, but I wanted to let you know for sure that no one was injured in that, and that's all being taken care of by K-Camp.
How many total insurance claims on your vehicles?
2.
Just 2?
Yep, 2. So, yeah. Other than that, if you guys have any questions for me.
I assume we have a pursuit policy that they follow when they are and
Yes.
so forth.
Yes.
Are these, either one of those combined with another agency besides Sheriff's Department or just Sheriff's Department?
They were No, those were just ours, and they did not, they struck fixed
weren't-
objects. They slid off. They ended up going off the road. So,
Jeff, do you know, I know this most recent incident resulted in 2 claims. Do you know, going back 3, 4, 5 months, how many claims you've had on vehicles off the top of your head?
I know that the couple previous to that were animal related. Those were both animal strikes. I know before that. I talked with K Camp when they were down, when Jess was down to assess those vehicles, and I was concerned because we had 2 at one time, and I was concerned about the number of those, and he assured me that we were that we were not out of there was nothing that was alarming to him, and that as a county that our numbers were not bad compared to a lot of the other agencies that they insure. So I did ask the same questions.
So we've lost 4 vehicles this year?
No, 3. We had the one in July, which was a 2-vehicle crash, and then these 2. The other ones, the animal strikes, those ended up being, those were just repair and
Repairable?
get back to.
So 3 vehicles lost and then 2 repairs?
I believe that's correct. Yes, sir.
So 5.
Joy could probably give us the exact numbers, but those are the ones that I recall. Yes.
Sheriff, you just got a couple deputies out of the academy, didn't you?
We had, yes, actually. Well, one that just recently graduated. The one before that was court security. The one that was in court security that had graduated just before this deputy has since moved to the road. And we do have 2 that are in the field training program right now.
Will that fill you up?
It does until the end of this month when we have one that leaves. And we've already had our selection process, so we have a list to go from. And we do have someone that's already certified that will be moving into that spot. So they'll just go to the field training program at that point.
Just out of curiosity, what is our pursuit policy? Is it just,
It's one from K Camp, and I can get that to you through the administrator if you would like to see a copy.
I mean, in general, is it person's felonies?
It's, well, it takes a lot of different things into consideration. Speeds, road conditions, traffic conditions, time of day, things like that. Whether or not the person is known, what hazards present to the public if the person is not taken into custody, things like that. But yes, the offense is one of those things that is a factor consideration as well. Yes.
You said both of these were pursuits, so it was not responding to an emergency or whatever else it was.
No, these were both during the same pursuit. Yeah.
What's our current census, Sheriff?
I believe it is at 68.
How many are farmed?
We don't have anyone farmed out other than we do have one that is in Lansing at a court-ordered, Larned at a court-ordered evaluation. But we don't have anyone farmed out currently at this time.
That's good news.
Yes, yes, that is.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
James, did you want to share anything from FCDC?
I mean, it can. Good morning, Commissioners. Just a couple quick updates that we're kind of heading into the home stretch of the fundraising portion that we're embarking on for the Work Franklin County program that we rolled out back in October. I believe we're sitting at just under 80% of our goal, so I should be able to hit that before the end of the month, and everything is still on track for that to get rolled out starting January 1. We've actually already have some of the aspects of the program in the works currently. The job website's getting designed. I've met with Ms. Strickler at USD 290 about the RISE program to figure out the logistics and getting that going. So everything's going really well with that. Last week I was out in San Diego at a real estate redevelopment and reuse class through the International Economic Development Council. Got a lot of great information there to bring back to Franklin County. And really at this point, as far as the marketing for Proximity Park, we're kind of putting a bow on everything that we had planned for 2017 and gearing up for 2018. I can tell you right now, looking at the schedule and everything that we've got planned, the first 5 months are going to be extremely busy for FCDC, so we're looking forward to that. So I can answer any questions that you guys may have too. All right, thank you.
All right, Jim, nothing? What are we doing? What are our efforts being spent on?
The new bucket truck and the new chipper have been heavily involved in this gusty winds knocking down trees, obstructing roadways.
Mowing in preparation for snow drifts and
Continuing to mow the right of ways.
rocking roads?
Blade roads.
All right. Anything from the clerk's office to share? Nope. All right. Commissioners' comments, board reports? Anything from you, Rick?
On Monday night, I went to the beef stew dinner and listened to the presentation on the tourism in Kansas. It was an excellent meal, and let's see, that was Sir Optimist, right?
Yeah.
And pretty interesting. A couple ladies was there. They've been to every incorporated town in Kansas, and they had a nice slideshow on some of the places in Kansas that all over that can be visited, and some pretty interesting stuff. It was pretty enjoyable. And that's all I've been to since the last one.
Last Wednesday night, I attended the Wellsville City Council meeting. They discussed basically the progress on 8th and Main water line from Phase 1 about ready for starting to Phase 2, waiting on some permits. They discussed Christmas bonuses for their staff and having an open house. And then they had reports from just their police department and buildings and grounds.
Went to the Disruptiveness dinner too, and listened to the presentation by like Rick said, Tour Kansas is maybe a little bit more focused to try to get people to, stay in Kansas, look at all the interesting sites that are in Kansas and all the communities and their specific sites that they have that are very interesting. So I thought the presentation was very good.
Attended FCDC, but James got me out of an update there, so I appreciate that. So is there anything else from the commission or staff? Look for a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion. Second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.